So my client for tomorrow, he said he wants something like this. Obviously we're not going to copy this design, we're going to find reference photos and we're going to recreate this in our own way and terms. So first we need a photo of wolf. Let's hunt for one. These days I like to go to Midjourney and just where the search is here, let's say wolf, then here we can see media, and it's always slow in the evenings, always. But I gave up on Midjourney, we're back in Pinterest. Let's see if we can find anything good that stands out. I can see that a lot of these are not really photography. A lot of these are actually Midjourney. And if anything, I feel like that could be that. Just a bit different, but I feel like that could be that. Or maybe this guy. It looks similar. I feel like we're gonna go for this. Then we need to find a good clock face here. And people are really specific in they do the numbers or Roman numerals. So let's find a clock face with Roman numerals. I just came back into Midjourney. I thought maybe someone has done something cool, and it looks like. And we can see a lot of people have done some good stuff, some interesting stuff. Loads of broken watches or clocks. Some of them are maybe a little bit too broken. I quite like this guy. I think this guy looks pretty nice. Now it makes it bigger. Let's see what we got. Yeah, Midjourney on evenings, it's so slow. I feel like everybody's on Midjourney now and it's struggling. I actually just typed in broken clock face and this came out. That looks really nice. Sometimes when I look at these pieces, what other people have done, it's just amazing. Yeah, it just kept on loading. I can't be asked to wait for that long. So went on Pinterest, I found this one, and we're just gonna slash this into little pieces. Then we need to find like wolves howling on moon, I guess. What I like to do is find something similar, and then after that similar, it'll show you something similar, and it's easier to narrow it down. It's always hard to find something that like I can scroll for so long, nothing looks alright. It's hard to create unique, cool design because they all just look exactly the same. And then the clients also want exactly the same. Maybe I can get one wolf instead of a couple of those. Maybe just let's see what one looks like, and then I like to just start puzzle together. Then it kind of gives me an approximate idea of what I have and what else I need. Mostly, well, he wants it on his forearm, so it's gonna be full A4. Mostly that kind of falls down to the full A4. We can't go too wide like here because then one eye will be there, another eye will be there, and the animal becomes so spread out that it's not really readable anymore. Then let's turn that quickly into black and gray, maybe light a little bit up, and then I go here, curves, and now what I like to do is I'm gonna adjust the curves so that make the blacks more black and then the lights more light, so it kind of gives that sharpness to it. Then let's go for the clock. Just make sure always the 12 is where the 12 needs to be. What I like to do sometimes is get it there, decrease in saturation because we can't make it multiply because then it'll disappear. I guess it needs to be approximately there. Maybe just so the middle pops out a little bit higher, which means the wolf might need to go a little bit lower. I guess approximately there. Then I can delete. We delete what we don't need. I like to delete with airbrush, so I'll take here, airbrush, and then soft airbrush. I could easily make a stencil without this being here, but I just naturally like to take the junk off. Anything that I don't need, it'll go disappear and bye bye. So that's there. Now let's say if we go inking, and then let's say my brush, even the studio pen, the biggest size, just so we can delete here. Basically that's how we're gonna make these cracks inside the clock, by just deleting the stuff. Gonna try to make it unevenly even. Could say the corner out here, maybe a corner out there, get half of that X off. We can make these clock fingers a little bit cooler. So what we can do is we can see we are in a clock, key, canvas, drawing guide, edit guidance, and then this middle, maybe it's symmetry, and where are you? The blue to the middle of the clock finger, middle there. Where's the green? The green guy comes and the green goes. So the green kind of indicates where the middle is. So we can draw symmetry now on top of the clock. Then brush, go for the black. And then I can see in reference photo that he has sent, he has like a bolder kind of look. So this way we can make it nice and bold. And then we're gonna have custom design clock fingers for him. Hopefully it's not gonna say that he doesn't want any clock fingers on it. We need to make these quite simple because it's gonna be a quite small design anyway. At least like small in a sense of, let's copy the same settings for this. Let's put it in the middle, So middle where the green in the middle there. It's gonna be probably on the forearm, which means there's not much space. It'll be maybe that size max, so it's quite small. And these details already become smallish, which means we shouldn't really make any smaller than that. We don't want our clients to have bad tattoos. Just making those clock fingers a little bit similar and different at the same time, just so they look like they came from the same clock. That looks better. We have 12, 1, 2, 10, 11. The clock is alright, clock is fine. Because what you can see is sometimes people take a piss and they purposely upload the clocks on Pinterest or somewhere where they just show the wrong time. So people end up tattooing the wrong time. That's approximately there. Now we need the landscape underneath. Add, insert photo. I feel like I'll put him underneath him, as in like the nose underneath the nose. Put that there. Let's see what multiply looks like. Multiply doesn't look good. Let's put it back to normal, and maybe I can decrease that a little bit just to see where are we. And then let's say if we delete, but if we delete with the airbrush, the medium airbrush is bigger, so it deletes more, as in you can make it like really massive size. The deleting is kind of smoother in that way. What I should do is turn this into black and gray as well. And he's also booked in just for 3 hours, which means there'll be not a lot of time, which means we will merge them together, so you can pinch them all together and it becomes one. And then I'll make a new layer. Now saying that, it has some these little white strokes going through there and going through there, so I could potentially implement them. Whereas if we just take delete and then we take that, we can pick our brush as deleting brush. I can make it bigger. I don't know how big that is really, but bigger, and I can slice that, maybe not his legs, just below that. So we can do 2 here, and then it has some around the clock, which I kind of need the blackness there behind the clock to make the black, well, to make the clock white, I need the black behind it. But it is possible that I could do just behind it. No, that doesn't look good. I think I'm not gonna do any. I'm just gonna do some shading there, and that's it, call it a day. If we go delete, airbrush, big airbrush, if I just make it smooth like that, I think that'll do, just like that. And to make a new layer, what I'm gonna do is gonna go on layers. Well, I have a new layer. I was gonna say I'm gonna make a new layer, but I have a new layer. Then I go on a brush, I go inking, and there's my own brush. If you don't have this brush, you can make it. It's inside the school's account, one of the first videos, and that's about it. And then for example, if you go on canvas guide, even this is like the stencil layer. It could be easy, but you can turn it on. Well, almost worked. Here, click that, drawing assist. Now it's going to be assisted, which means when you make stencil, it'll be twice as fast. I know there's all sorts of people making all sorts of like curves and only going to show the outsides, but I'm not really the guy who likes to follow blurry stencils. And if this takes me 20 seconds longer to make a stencil, I'm cool, because I'm not following a muddy, dirty, smudgy stencil. I like when everything is clean, precise, sharp, and just like that. Like, it took us no time whatsoever. Easy as that. There, drawing guide, and again, I'm gonna move this blue into here. The green goes in this end, and now we can make stencil for this guy. Done. We are still in the same layer, and again, it's not that hard. And I'm massively believing that if you have really clean stencil, your tattoos will be way better as well. And if you have muddy and dirty stencil, there's a chance your stencil might not be as clean. Here, then, once we have done what we need to do with symmetry, click on that, drawing assist, turn it off, and now there is no drawing assist. Basically, the symmetry is not going to work anymore. What we can do is, for example, this is like my little trick, not to do things twice. You can click on that, brand new layer, take a brush. Let's say we make this, you line that, hold, you'll clean it up. You can duplicate that and just make a little bit bigger. Then it's gonna be like perfectly parallel line. You don't have to like think, really not. It just will. And then we can those two merge down and we merge together. Then we can do the same for the outer arcs. A brand new layer. Then let's say if I do this and I go create a long line like this, following the gray line what we have here, hold. You can touch with the finger and it's gonna really round it up, and then that's there. Then duplicate that, and now we make it bigger so we also fit for the outer side. And then I know these lines will be super parallel because it came out from the same line in a sense. And of course some areas you'll need to extend a little bit. Then these two lines, if you merge them together, we can delete. Well, the brush is a little bit too big. Then we can delete them both at the same time and delete here wherever you don't need anymore. And I feel like that way it saves you time to kind of trying to get parallel lines. You just make them parallel lines. I think our stabilization has been turned on too much, so don't want to be doing that. It's harder to make uneven lines when the stabilization is turned on. So what I like to do is do what I can with stabilization turned on, and it allows us to make nice clean lines. As always, we do what we can do, and then we think about what we can't do anymore. And now let's say we have done pretty much what we needed to do with the stabilization on, except these guys, I forgot about these. In a sense, like we don't need stabilization to do while we're doing these, because we can pull a line and hold, and pull a line and hold, and it just makes clean lines for us. We don't need to think about. But essentially, stabilization here, what I mostly have is streamline maxed out, and I have stabilization here, there. I like to keep it like here-ish, and then what this allows us is to do whatever you want, and then there'll be nobody cleaning anything after you. And you can make these lines as wobbly as you please, or as uneven, as crazy as you want them to be. So it would be hard with the stabilization on to draw this. And then even these ends, it's easier to do with no stabilization than to do with them. I almost made this circle as a stencil, which I believe it's probably as just me moving with the fingers, and I drew probably that by accident. Also, I'm gonna clean these lines just so they're more nice and even. And straight, 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 straight. Then the crack inside, it's also easier to draw. We need to delete this section. Oh, that's on this layer. And then we can make the crack in and then pull it out. I could easily do some like smaller cracks here inwards and smaller cracks there. Just why not? I mostly do this when I tattoo physically on person. I don't really make these as stencil lines. I kind of like add all I need, but when I tattoo, then I just add extra. So they also like, they had the stencil on them, but then I did this into that, and then I broke apart, and then I did more mess, and they're like, oh yeah, more details, and they always love it. They always appreciate that, and the clients just feel they managed to get more from you from the same price. And I believe we have clock done. Yeah, I like to decrease the stencil underneath to see what's done, what's left, and I can see the clock is pretty much done. So now we're going back to wolf. I can, these line work ones, I can merge down, and this one can merge down, so all the lines are in the same layer now, and they're all good to go. Now we can increase this so we can see a little bit more, like that, and then we draw on the same layer, or maybe a new one, just in case, and we draw the stencil for the wolf. When I draw animal stencils, I do like to make them hairy as well. Sometimes I make really detailed stencils, sometimes I make less detailed stencils, depends what that is, depending how big, depending how the complexity. It kind of depends on the mood. Today I feel like I'm gonna make my simple version of the stencil, which is kind of detailed but not too crazy detailed. I'm still gonna be able to see where what goes, what kind of flow it has, but not as complex as I would do other days, because I feel like I've done so many wolves now that I don't really need stencil anymore. I feel like I can do them closed eyes. Tattooing for 11 years, you end up going through so many wolves that they all just seem the same, look the same, and then you almost done the same wolf like 1500 times. Mostly what I'm going to indicate today is kind of where what finishes, but like roughly where what finishes, not going too crazy into detail, not into micro managing kind of my stencil. And you're gonna see in other videos, and you probably have seen me in other videos where I have more detailed stencils than this. One of the features that Procreate has is if you make a circle like this, you can guide it. Then if you hold, it'll clean it up. If you touch with a finger, it'll make a circle. And yeah, and then you just narrow down to what size you want to go for, approximately there. It doesn't have to be like perfect as it's there, and that's it, a good circle done for you. Essentially what I do now is I just kind of briefly go over the flow, where it goes, from where to where the shadows are, and I like to try to make a map where if I turn it off, you can still understand where it flows, where it goes. And when I'm tattooing, it's kind of easier for me to understand I don't like to think too much. I don't like to try to understand my own stencil. I like to just understand, just to get it, so I can just crack on. I think there's nothing worse than you spend time to make a map, a stencil that you can't even follow yourself. And mostly I do like a sketching. I just sketch where what goes, from where to where the darks are. Sometimes when the stencil the stroke is long, it kind of nicely shows you that there are long hair. And then if you have really short stencil strokes or lines or purple lines when you follow, it's a good indication that it's a short one. Mostly I just use this as a language to tell what kind of way I need to shade my magnum. Well, we're gonna do these with 9 mags or 15 mag, and it kind of tells me that this is the flow that we need to move our hands. Mostly when it comes to shading like this, I just do a wobbly kind of area, and that tells me that all we need to do is just shade. Small little details like this, I'm just gonna do them tomorrow as I do when I tattoo. And then I feel like if I feel I have forgotten something, I just like to take this, click the N, desaturate, and it tells you more where have you missed areas. So for example, I can see here, that probably needs to indicate the shading goes up to there. There's some shading here, there's some shading there. All this area is not marked, so I need to tell that the shading starts from here or finishes there. And then we have some like dark this area and there's. So I like to decrease my saturation or opacity, and that way it kind of explains what have you forgot. That I do that quite a lot, up and down, up and down. The original design that he sent, there are some trees on the bottom, all this and that. I think I gotta tell him, listen, we only got 3 hours, let's focus on the main character, and then if you want additions we can always add them. If you don't want any additions, you just not gonna have them. And in our booking system I could see his name, so he's been to us before, but I didn't recognize as my client. So I feel like I've not met him before. Maybe I have. Maybe Joe tattooed him and I was just chilling there. What I mean is, it's easier when you have clients coming back. They kind of know how you work, the way you work, the way the flow goes. It's kind of easier with those people. You have to like explain less what you're gonna do and what's the plan and how it's gonna go. They just know you all. I quite like this hairy kind of feeling behind it. This reflection is something we can't lose. We need to keep in as much as we can. It nicely cuts out from the background. Inside here, again, as we're gonna tattoo, I'm probably gonna make up these textures as I go, just adding more and adding kind of, but as long as now we have the flow, we have an idea what direction the hair flows and how tall it is, or that's all we need. Like we need that sort of map now. So I feel like that will be probably as far as we go. I kind of mapped out all the necessary details what I need. It's only gonna be like that size-ish, so not really that big, quite small. What's that, palm size, hand size? It's not that massive, which means all the necessary details that goes in really small aspects, I'll do it either tomorrow or in the next session after that. What I'm gonna aim for first will be all the necessary main details, as in, oh, almost forgot about this guy. All the main, as in the clock fingers, the cracks, the time, all this is gonna be blacked out. These triangles gonna be blacked out. Gonna map out where the head is. All of it, all the darks go first, and all the small little stuff, as in like here for example, and here and here and here, that's secondary, that's later on, that could wait. As long as he has indication that this is dark, and then the moon stands out, and then the wolf is there, and we can see time, and that's all that matters. That's like the main priorities. Afterwards, decorations, that could go later on. Maybe we can add some more trees, maybe he's gonna have more ideas, maybe there's something that I've done, who knows, maybe a long time ago I did it, where I just can't recognize a person's last name and last name. Maybe I have to do it, maybe I've done some work on him which I just don't know. But that's for tomorrow. Essentially, this is my stencil process for like quick kind of setup for the first session to get some guidance and then see where the life takes us. So first, we go through the reference photos. I never copy exactly what people send me. I just rebuild that with my own images, with my own stories. And sometimes clients, like, not sometimes, but they don't want a copy either. They just like the idea, they send you, they're like, oh, I want something like this, just do you. And then you just rebuild and then recalculate or refine the photos, references, and you puzzle all that together, and they appreciate that way more than you just trace it and do it. and then they'll be fuming. I assume they would be fuming, because I would be fuming if I would get a copy of somebody else's tattoo, but I would not go to a person who just copies tattoos. So, little small realism session this was, a little realism stencil. We will continue this kind of series. I'm gonna make more and more stencils. I'm gonna show you my Procreate kind of tips and tricks that what I do. Small little things maybe that might be useful for some of you, and even the overall design flow, how it goes from nothing to stencils ready. It might help you guys. So I will do more till you tell me stop, until you're gonna tell me you're sick of it seeing me making stencils. So till then, I'll see you in the next video, guys.